Would you describe yourself as a particularly patient person? I know for me that I am and I'm not. There are times when I'm very patient with people I don't know, I'm particularly patient, and other times when I'm less patient. Maybe it is with my career, maybe I feel like I should be further than I am, or perhaps I'm impatient with those closer to me. I wanted to do something about that. I saw a Venn diagram earlier this week from Gary Vaynerchuk, and it really stayed with me because it was this Venn diagram of happiness, hard work, and patience. Now, I've always thought of myself as a hard-working person, and I like to think of myself as a happy person as well. Don't get me wrong, we've all had times when we're not happy, but the overlap, it's difficult because often when you're working hard, you're not happy, and vice versa. But this third circle, patience, it adds a new element, a new dimension to it. Because there is that moment where if you're working hard, but you're patient, you are aware that you're working as hard as you can, but you're patient that you're going to get there one day, you'll be happy. So there's a really clear reason for being patient in terms of your career, but also just to have healthy relationships with those around you. It's so useful not to be the one who loses your temper in a heart flash, So I wanted to do something about it. And I started by thinking, well, why? Why am I not always the most patient? And I realized it was because of one word: convenience. Life nowadays is all about convenience. Technology, everything is designed to make your life as convenient as possible, but it has the adverse effect of making you impatient. If you go back 20 years, you were only getting around to 2 megabyte floppy disks, and then nowadays we have these incredible bits of equipment all around us, but the moment that one starts to play up a little bit, we're furious, we're so annoyed. So my plan was to try and make aspects of my life inconvenient, to try and take away the convenience. It's very difficult to do that, particularly with a pandemic still going on. You need your laptop for work. I need cameras for work. There's things that make this especially challenging. But I did find 2 or 3 ways of starting off that have been pretty helpful. In fact, I would say they've been very helpful, one in particular. So I picked out 3 things of convenience. And for me, that is music, washing, and coffee or tea. We've just got a brand new kettle because the last kettle drove me mad. It was just so infuriatingly slow. It was really inconvenient. And the new one is great. It does things really fast. But with either one, I found that whilst the kettle boils, I do find myself a bit impatient with the whole thing. So I thought, well, how can I make that less convenient? And I went old school, and rather than using kettle, I decided to boil water. So I put my water in the pan, boiled it, and it was surprisingly soothing because rather than hitting the switch and going off and doing whatever, maybe forgetting about the kettle completely, I would turn it on and I would stay there. I would stay in the kitchen. And it gave me a moment away from everything else going on. I wasn't rushing to do my work to get back to the kettle, to stay in that mindset of constantly on the move. I just stopped and enjoyed that moment. It was bizarre how helpful this one habit has proven to be. I must admit, I don't know if this is more or less environmentally friendly, but it's definitely been more helpful in terms of me being more patient. The second thing that I did was to, rather than using the dishwasher, was to just wash up by hand. And I clocked whilst I was doing it that the reason I was beginning to find this helpful is the times when you don't want to. So you just had dinner and you're feeling lethargic and you just want to chill out. You want to bung everything in the dishwasher, forget about it, relax. But you can't. You have to stand there, you have to do the washing up. Now, growing up, I never had a dishwasher, so, I thought, well, it's not going to be that inconvenient. I mean, I just like going back to the old times. But that was inconvenient because I've become accustomed to a dishwasher. I know it's a privilege, but it's one that I quite enjoy. I found myself after dinner every time looking at dishwasher and being tempted, but thinking, no, I've promised myself I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wash it by hand. So I started to accept the inconvenience, to accept when things that I don't want to do are going to crop up. And that is what being patient is. It's accepting when things aren't as ideal as you want them to be, when they're not as convenient as you hope them to be. So, I was using a pan for my water for a drink. I was doing the washing by hand. But something else that I use all the time, and I'm sure you do, is my music. I'm just constantly having music on in the background. It's just always there on my phone, just swiping away. I live with my Spotify. And I started to think, well, can I go without using Spotify? And that was very hard, because when I'm writing or when I'm doing my study, I like to have Spotify open. I like to have certain music on, or sometimes I'll just have the sounds of the ocean, whatever it is. So I gave myself a kind of allowance. I allowed myself to have Spotify on when I was writing or when I was working. But when I wasn't, the rest of the time, when I was just showering or when I was cooking dinner, instead I went about using my record player. I mean, I've had a record player for years and I've used it on occasions, but nowhere near enough. Now, using a vinyl record player, it means two things. Either I have to accept that it's going to be the same couple of songs on repeat if I don't change it, or I have to physically get up, change the disc, put the needle on, take the needle off if I want to change the track. In terms of convenience, it's a pretty inconvenient way to listen to music. And I really enjoyed it. Like, I could put it on and just stop and enjoy having done that. Because when I'm looking for music on Spotify, I fall in that habit of just swiping. It's kind of like the acceptable version of Tinder, where you just swipe, maybe swipe right once in a while. And that was a habit I wanted to get out of. And I think it helped a lot on that. Even just helped me be patient in listening to a track if I don't maybe want to, So often you just skip by and you're skipping past all those songs that you've starred before, rather than just thinking, oh, okay, I'll enjoy this one, I'll enjoy that one. Back in the old days, you would be listening to the radio, trying to get the frequency right, and if you heard a song you liked, you would hit record on your tape cassette and probably miss the first 5 seconds of the song anyway. So trying to bring back some of that inconvenience, it makes you start to appreciate it a bit more. And I think that goes across the board. Whatever it is that you're practicing inconvenience with, whatever you're making less convenient, you'll begin to appreciate it more. You'll begin to value that more. So often in filmmaking, I've wanted that big break to come sooner rather than later, and it hasn't. And that's okay, We're not in a sprint, we're in a marathon. And actually, a marathon can be pretty fun when you take a chance to actually just reflect on all the things that you've seen. So my little tip this week is, if you feel like you're not very patient or you're beginning to become less patient, then try and strip away some of the convenience of your life, even just for a week, and see how you feel, see what it does. I know for me that the kettle proved particularly useful, and that's something that I'm going to keep doing actually, because it gives me that little pocket of time in the day where I can just stop and relax. And the same with my music. I'm still going to use Spotify, but I'm going to try and use a record player more. So actually, I have it, I might as well make use of it and stop relying on convenience. With that said, I am about to go put a pizza in the oven, but I've been filming all day, so I'm going to give myself that one. All right, see you soon.